Welcome back to the Invest in Value channel. My name is Victor, and today I'm going to talk about Midland States, symbol MSBI. This is a great regional bank that's been producing great price increases on their stock and paying a dividend above 4%. Before I get into analyzing Midland States, please click on the like button for my video. Consider subscribing to my channel and click on that bell if you'd like to be notified when I release new videos. Now let's talk about Midland States. I've been tracking this stock for 2 years and really caught my eye because they paid a very good dividend and it looked like a very well-run bank. I started tracking it in the middle of COVID, so I wasn't taking many chances during that time, but the PPP program that the government provided a lot of liquidity and stimulus through banks kind of drew my attention. So I bought a few banks that, right in the middle, right after COVID. This is one that I started to buy into, and it's really done well. It's up 30% on a stock price perspective. And during the time that I've held the stock, it's also provided a really good dividend. Let me show you the chart of where the stock has been trading at over the last year. So here's the chart for the company. As you can see, overall, it's risen over a year, but year to date, it's really done great. And it really was helpful to my portfolio because I'm currently ahead of the S&P, and it's because of stocks like MSBI that bucked the trend at the beginning of 2022 with a lot of stocks losing value, similar to today. Today's April 5th, and a lot of the high growth companies got hammered today. Good quality companies got hammered, but banks, this regional bank at the beginning of 2022 has been a really good stock to put in my portfolio. Again, it's risen really well, and it's been paying a really good dividend during that time. A couple of things that I'll point out. They have a really good dividend, 7.87, excuse me, a good PE ratio, 7.87, dividend of 4.13%, really good dividend. When I first started buying into MSBI, they were paying around 6% dividend, which was really good. And I, confirmed that they had the wherewithal to continue to pay that dividend, and they can. It's a lower dividend now because the stock price has gone up. Really, they're trading toward the upper end of their 52-week range. And, I'm holding and buying more shares of this stock. The reason for it is I believe that interest rates rising is good news for banks. They'll have a higher interest rate to charge customers on loans, which increases their revenue. And that's good for a bank. They have more revenue to work with. They'll have a higher cost, loan costs and so forth, but that higher interest rate is going to increase their revenues and give them more to work with regard to income. They're a small cap company, 626 million market cap. I like having small cap companies that I could buy at a discount that show really good value. And this is an example of what I really like seeing. Now I'd like to take you through a valuation model for MSBI. You may have seen other videos of mine, and I like to discount free cash flows, based on what I project the company is going to generate free cash flows into the future, discounted and having the present value of those cash flows. That model doesn't fit banks well, so I use instead, I'm going to work on their book value and their earnings and try to value the company based on those two methods. I'd like to take you through that. Before I jump into that, let me just point out that this is a really good dividend payer, and they can afford their dividend. They pay $1.16 per share in dividend, which is more than 4%. And if you were to just use the dividend valuation method, you'd get to $27.62 They're currently trading at $28.09. So pretty fairly priced, based on the dividend that they can afford. So that's one, side note that I put out there. To value them based on book value, I went and researched their last 6 set of financials to get their balance sheet details, including their assets, goodwill, intangible assets, their liabilities and preferred stock, to establish their book value. Their book value grew in 2021 by almost 11%, which was great. On average, they've grown their book value by 15%. Book value per share increased nicely, and their market cap has been increasing, from 2020 to 2021, which is great to see and participate in. Their price to book at the end of 2021 was 1.23 on average. They have a book value of 1.06. So looking at their book value, I project that their book value will increase 15%. It's their average. And I believe that higher interest rates are really going to benefit banks. And MSBI, from my observation, they're very well run, and they're small and they're agile. And I think they're going to really operate well in 2022. So I'm optimistic that they're going to grow their book value by 15%. In 23, I'm going to scale that back to 7% growth in book value, 6% in 24, and then 5% will be the long-term growth for their book value. Using the book value method, I came up with a value of per share today of $31.67. Now, I'm also going to value them using their earnings. And again, on their earnings, I looked at their financials for the last 6 years, looked at their revenue, their net income. They've been profitable every year. Great to see. They've had net income every year, although their net income dropped in 2020 because of COVID. Shares outstanding have stayed, consistent. They've lowered them since 2019, and they've kept them down at the 22 million shares level. Earnings per share increased nicely in 2021 from the COVID year, the year prior. Their earnings yield was 13.79, which was excellent. And then their earnings growth in 2021 was excellent. So using the earnings method, again, optimistic on 2022. They're going to grow those earnings by 10%, and then, ratchet it back to 7, 6, and then long-term earnings growth of 5%. Using that method, I came up with a current stock value of $35.19. So what I did is I blended using the book value, earnings method, and I got $33.43. Comparing that to today's stock price, today's stock price is $28.09. You'd be getting this company at a 19% discount. And I, again, really like this company. It's well operated. It pays a strong dividend of 4%. You have a little bit of upside. If they keep operating very well, their market cap will continue to rise. And all these figures and metrics and ratios will improve to make the bank more valuable. So if they can keep executing, I expect that the stock price will rise, the valuation will rise, and I'm gonna be keeping this stock and adding to my position. Okay, now let me do a recap on MSBI. Their performance was excellent in 2021. It's great to see a smaller company, bounce back from a tough year. 2020 was a tough year for many companies. And this bank really just kept working hard and really turned things around in 2022 and really just kept that momentum into 2021. Their year-over-year growth for revenue was 12%, and that's in line with what their last 6 years growth in revenue has been. Their loans increased in 2021 by 25%. So they're just seeing a lot of activity. Earnings, their profits grew 37% in 2021. That's exceptional. Their dividend, they pay a really nice dividend of 4.13%. and that's a well-funded dividend. They raised that dividend, it's really, really a good company. Their book value, they grew their book value by almost 11%. Their price to book was 1.23. They repurchased 205,000 shares in 2021, which was really good to see. Management doesn't provide guidance. They didn't provide any guidance for 2022. But I believe that rising interest rates are going to be good for banks, especially banks that are well run. And I believe this bank is well run. Their earnings call is going to be on April 29th, and looking forward to that earnings call. My outlook is, optimistic on this company. Next year's, growth in earnings, I expect about 10% growth in earnings. They have the momentum. Again, rising interest rates will benefit them. Longer term growth, out, to 10 years, it'll be about 5%. Their book value growth next year, 15%. That's been their average. And again, they should have a good year in 2022. Long-term growth of book value will be about 5%. There's upside in this stock left. I believe about 20% is shown in my value calculations. And meanwhile, they pay a great dividend. So if you can get a little bit of, or I like that I get appreciation of the price. Meanwhile, they pay really good dividend to return capital to me. So my plan for MSBI is really listen to each earnings call, study their financials and their quarterly financials, and just make sure that they're keeping the path that they're on. They're doing really well. So if I could see them continue to grow and execute, this bank could be worth a couple $2 billion, down the road. So I'd love to be around for that. I'm going to keep track of interest rates and the economy for banks. That's very dynamic. Mortgage rates, as an example, went from I think around 3% at the beginning of 2022. Now they're 5%. That's a very fast increase in mortgage rates. So I think banks that can really adjust quickly are going to thrive. Banks that cannot are going to fall back and fail. And referring to mortgage, interest rates, MSBI is not lending out a lot of money, for homes. They're more of a business bank, a regional business bank, and providing community all the different banking needs that they need. So I'm going to keep my eye on interest rates and the economy for banks in 2022. Just a reminder that, I make my videos for entertainment purposes only. I'm not recommending that you buy or sell any security. I own this stock, and this video covers why I invest in it. Hopefully you found it interesting. And please weigh your decisions around investing heavily, and hire a professional if you feel like you would need one. So big thank you for watching my video. If you could do me a big favor and click the like button on my video, consider subscribing and consider clicking that bell so you'll be notified when I release new videos. And with that, I want to wish you good luck in investing for 2022, and I'll see you on the next video.